Oh, hey. So let's see what's going on. Yeah. Says here, get capitalist grubby hands off our hobbies. Oh, what the hell just happened? Okay. Christian moralist. Okay. There's no need to take a shot at Christian moralists. There's plenty of other moralists that are kind of annoying. Long promoted hobbies as a way to occupy idle hands, bringing the work ethic into our free time. Okay. Today, hobbies risk turning into side hustles, yet they also point to what work might look like if it wasn't about making money. Hobbies turn into side hustles because people need the extra cash. Speaking on German radio in 1969, philosopher Theodor W. Adorno expressed his surprise at how often we get asked about our hobbies. Well, people are just making small talk. Whenever he got this question himself, it shocked him. Why would that shock you, you weirdo? He explained only to declare it typically contrarian fashion. In a typically contrarian fashion, I have no hobbies. Sounds like it. He saw the hobby as a form of bourgeois. Is that how you spell that word? Bourgeois ideology, where capitalism makes labor a commodity. What are you talking about, man? Hobbies is something people choose willingly. What does capitalism have to do with that? Likewise, in the form of the hobby, leisure is made into a thing as organized freedom. No, people naturally organize their behavior because they have other things that they have to do. So they have to organize things so they can get all of it done within a certain amount of time. It's natural. Ardano has already rather old was already old-fashioned for his time, since he delivered that radio lecture asking people about their hobbies has become almost banal. From the informal sphere, small talk with strangers, dating apps, to more formal settings, a job interview, an application form, the question of hobbies pops up everywhere. The question is innocuous enough. My hobby is reading. I read a lot. Though sometimes it's true. I mean, it might not seem that way because I have a tough time reading out loud, but I'm a very good reader. Though sometimes it has a clear normative element. Those without hobbies are socially maladjusted, workaholics, or else lazy idlers. Or their hobby is just something else that you don't recognize as a hobby. Okay. Although the notion of having hobbies has become ordinary, it's still a subject of discussion. Many millennials realize that they simply don't have any hobbies. Their hobbies could just be strolling through Facebook, something they do with their free time. Like everyone has hobbies. And as an article in the Financial Times recently signaled, certain hobbies such as collecting stamps, that sounds dumb, or old postcards, a waste of time, have long been in decline. Yes, because there's barely any stamps, barely any people use the goddamn postal service because they can just text or call people. And old postcards, who's sending postcards? It's just clutter at this point. So they can't really do that. Trivial as such observations might seem, they point to the deeper question of the contrary relation between work and leisure and our ability to reclaim our free time. The rise of the hobby. The hobby, as we know it today, is intertwined with the history of capitalism. Is it, though? Is it? I think it's more intertwined with people having more free time. They don't have to work as much, but they still want to do something that they enjoy. In his book Hobbies, Leisure and the Culture of Work in America, historian Stephen Gelbert traces the changing meaning of the words hobby, whereas until 1880 it still referred to a dangerous obsession. Whoa, called it dangerous? Thereafter, it increasingly took on the exclusive meaning of productive leisure. That's weird. Well, but I mean, it makes sense. Like, the meaning of words is just based on perception of whatever the item or idea or whatever it is. Originally, the word hobby referred to a small horse or pony. Sounds like fun. In the 18th century, it took on the meaning of a preoccupation, an obsession that is mostly trivial and comical. Okay. This is well illustrated in the novel Tristram Shandy, Lawrence Stern's comic masterpiece published in the five installments between 1759 and 1767. That's a long time, which popularized the term hobby horse. The character Uncle Toby is obsessed with military strategy. The narrative Tristram Shandy reveals towards the end of the book that riding it was his hobby horse. So writing was his hobby. Only in the 19th century did the term gradually lose its equine connotation and started referring more and more to a group of leisure activities. The Industrial Revolution had already begun to drive urbanization and the disciplining of labor, and in this context, the workers' movement fought for the 8-hour workday. Karl Marx called shortening work hours the basic condition for freedom and increased leisure time. Okay, so Karl Marx wasn't all bad. The working class sought relief from the pressure of work, but as Gelber shows in his fascinating history, the upper classes saw increased leisure for the working class as a problem because they have free time to contemplate stuff like unfair treatment. Idleness could lead to dangerous ideas. Yeah, vice or criminal activity. Reformers and moralists saw the solution in occupations that were decent and virtuous, hobbies. So they wanted to keep them busy so they don't do anything radical, you know, like anyways, the upper classes saw increased leisure for the working class as a problem. Idleness could lead to blah blah blah. As the turn of the century, sociologist Thurston Veblen wrote his classic *The Theory of the Leisure Class*. He argued that higher classes in society have always defined themselves by having economically unproductive occupations and pursuits such as government, war, sports, and religion, while the lower classes are tied to manual labor. He coined the term conspicuous leisure, referring to the activities that serve to display social status. With the development of the leisure class, for example, hunting breaks down hunting breaks down into two different activities, one as a trade carried on chiefly for gain, and the second as a sport, which rich people participate in. According to Veblen, the lower classes would have imitated the pastimes for the upper classes, which can explain the rise of the hobby. By 1930, the hobby was increasingly used to distinguish between good and bad uses of leisure time. In the United States, the education system, municipalities, and volunteer organizations promoted having hobbies. After World War II, hobby culture commercialized. Okay, so that's how capitalism came into play. They started using hobbies to sell people things. For first, the upper class wanted to keep them busy so they don't start noticing unfair treatment or, start to revolt. And then they decided to use the hobby to keep them busy and keep them placid. And then they decided to start selling them things to make their hobbies more distracting. So, uh, the hobby shops and sports shops sprung up. So that's why the hobby shops became a thing. On the other hand, hobbyists no longer anxiously tried to shield the hobby from commercial motives, and the idea of making your hobby your job became commonplace. Between ideology and utopian anticipation, the hobby is the bourgeois form of leisure per excellence. Mm, kind of like golf. It holds the middle ground between work and leisure. For this reason, it is described as productive or serious leisure. It is a leisure time spent in a socially sanctioned way. This points to the ideological side of the hobby. Although it involves a seemingly completely free use of one's free time, it is done in a way that is consistent with certain work ethics from this point of view. Okay, this goes on forever. So I think we get the point. Hobbies have evolved, and now it's being used to sell people things because we are a capitalist society. Even the societies that call themselves socialists, they still very capitalist, like China. Anyways, until next time.